Imagine standing outside in, like, minus 35 degrees Celsius weather without clothes for hours.
Or spending 2 hours just submerged in ice.
Yeah, exactly. And having no ill effects. It sounds completely impossible, right? I mean, most of us would be heading towards hypothermia in minutes.
Absolutely. It defies what we think is normal human endurance.
But that's precisely what Wim Hof, the Iceman, has actually done. He's got something like 25 world records just challenging extreme cold.
It's incredible stuff.
So the big question is how? How on earth is this even possible for someone who seems to just break all the rules of human limits?
Well, that's the fascinating part. For years, Wim Hof himself said his abilities came down to a very specific breathing technique he developed.
Okay, breathing seems simple enough, but I bet the scientific community wasn't buying it right away.
Oh, definitely not. There was a huge amount of skepticism, naturally. But, that skepticism, that's actually what pushed researchers to finally investigate his claims seriously.
Right, so okay, let's really unpack this today, because this goes way beyond just one guy doing extreme things. It touches on something fundamental we all do, every single second, breathing. Our mission, really, in this deep dive, is to explore how breath, this thing that seems so basic, so automatic, might actually be a kind of secret remote control.
A remote control for our body and our mind. That's a great way to put it.
Yeah, and we're going to sift through the sources, blend that ancient wisdom people talk about with some really surprising modern science. We want to pull out the most important insights for you.
Sounds like a plan. Where do we start with the science?
Well, the turning point seems to be that 2011 experiment at Radboud University over in the Netherlands.
Ah, yes, the endotoxin study. That was pivotal.
So they basically invited Wim Hof in, and they injected him with this endotoxin, that nasty bacteria component, right?
Yeah.
It usually triggers a really strong immune response, fever, headaches, feeling awful.
Exactly. The expectation, based on all prior knowledge, was simple. He'd get sick, just like anyone else would. But the results were, frankly, astonishing. Wim Hof experienced 0 symptoms. None. No fever, no headache, no weakness.
Nothing.
Nothing. His immune system markers stayed completely normal. It baffled the medical team. And he just kept saying,
It's the breathing.
It's the breathing, conscious control over his breath.
Wow. Okay, so he completely sidestepped the body's typical reaction.
Sure.
That's huge. What did the doctors do next?
Yeah.
They couldn't just say, oh, it's just Wim, could they?
No, exactly. That was the immediate follow-up thought. Maybe he's just unique, a biological outlier.
A one-off.
Right. So they designed a really rigorous follow-up study. This time they took 12 regular individuals, ordinary people.
Okay.
They taught these 12 people Wim Hof's specific breathing technique over a short period. And
They
then
injected them with the same endotoxin.
in exactly the same procedure,
Sure.
same bacteria, high stakes.
And what happened? Did these folks, just by learning a breathing pattern, manage the same thing?
The outcome was genuinely groundbreaking. All 12 participants, using only their breath, were able to significantly control their fever and reduce their inflammatory response compared to a control group.
All 12.
All 12 showed a marked difference. It forced the researchers, really, to concede. They had to admit that somehow conscious breath control could influence body temperature and even modulate the immune system directly.
That's incredible scientific validation.
It really was, and it immediately raises that crucial question. What is this technique? What's actually happening when you breathe like that?
It's funny. When I first heard about this, it sounded so revolutionary, so modern. But then you dig into the sources a bit.
And you find echoes everywhere.
Exactly. This whole idea of breath control, it isn't new at all. Wim Hof's work, amazing as it is, seems to connect directly back to ancient practices.
Like in yoga.
Yeah, deep in yoga and the practices of rishis and sadhus. These figures known for meditating in extreme heat or cold, seemingly unaffected, controlling their internal state.
It really does feel like modern science is sort of rediscovering or validating wisdom that ancient cultures understood intuitively, perhaps, for millennia.
Absolutely. Do we have specific examples?
Oh, plenty. Think about Swami Rama back in the 70s. He stunned researchers at the Menninger Foundation by consciously controlling his heart rate, even creating a significant difference in temperature between two sides of his hand. He later wrote Science of Breath.
I've heard of that book.
And then there's Paramahansa Yogananda. In Kriya Yoga, he didn't just mention breath. He called it the greatest secret, the key to connecting with divine energy.
Wow. The greatest secret.
And even Lord Buddha, his path to enlightenment involved an apanasati mindfulness of breathing, just watching the breath. It shows how central, how profound the understanding of breath was. Way more than just getting oxygen in and CO2 out.
It really shifts your perspective. And there's another ancient belief that's, well, it's quite arresting.
Which one is that?
The idea that human life isn't measured in years, but the number of breaths we take.
Ah, yes. That's a powerful concept. It implies the quality and pace of our breathing might influence our longevity.
Is there any, observable basis for that?
Well, proponents point to the animal kingdom. It's quite striking, actually. You have fast-breathing animals, think dogs, rabbits. Their breathing is rapid, shallow.
And they typically live.
5, maybe 10 years, generally. Now, contrast that with slow-breathing animals. Turtles, elephants. Their breaths are deep, slow, measured.
And I live.
100, sometimes 200 years or more. Now, correlation isn't causation, obviously. There are many factors. But it's a compelling observation from this ancient perspective.
It really makes you think.
If you connect that to the bigger picture, breath is literally the thread between life and death. You can go days without food, maybe a few without water.
But only minutes without breath. It's that fundamental.
Precisely.
And you get these stats. The average person takes, something like 21,600 breaths every single day.
Around that, yeah. Roughly 2 seconds in, 2 seconds out, cycle after cycle.
But here's the kicker, right? The unsettling part. Most of us apparently aren't breathing correctly.
That seems to be the case for many people in modern life.
I catch myself doing it all the time, especially, hunched over a screen, suddenly realize I'm barely breathing. Just little sips of air into the chest.
You're definitely not alone there. That shallow, chest-only breathing is incredibly common. It's almost the default for many.
How can someone listening check right now?
Easy. Just place one hand on your chest, the other gently on your belly. Take a normal breath. Which hand moves more? Does your belly expand outwards as you inhale?
Like filling a balloon in your stomach.
Exactly. That's diaphragmatic breathing. If only your chest is rising significantly, you're likely doing that shallow breathing we mentioned. You might be missing out on activating a really key part of your nervous system.
Okay, so this connects to physiology. You mentioned the nervous system. This brings us to the vagus nerve, right?
Yes, the vagus nerve. It's fascinating. It's this incredibly long cranial nerve, running all the way from the brainstem down through the neck, chest, and into the abdomen, touching major organs.
And it's sometimes called the superhighway of relaxation.
That's a perfect description because its primary role involves activating the parasympathetic nervous system.
Okay, parasympathetic. That's the opposite of fight or flight.
Exactly. It's the rest and digest system. It promotes relaxation, slows the heart rate, lowers blood pressure, aids digestion, generally calms the whole body down.
And the link to breathing is?
Direct and powerful. Slow, deep, diaphragmatic breaths. The kind where your belly expands actively stimulate the vagus nerve. It's like sending a signal straight to your brain. Everything's okay. Relax.
So conversely, those fast, shallow chest breaths that so many of us do.
They do the opposite. They tend to deactivate the vagus nerve's calming influence, keeping the body stuck in that sympathetic fight or flight mode, that state of chronic low-grade stress.
Wow. So it's not just that stress causes shallow breathing. The shallow breathing itself can keep you stressed.
It's a feedback loop. And this means your breath isn't just reflecting your emotional state, it's actively controlling your nervous system balance and profoundly impacting your mood.
Okay, that's a huge claim. But you mentioned science backing this up. Can breathing changes affect stress hormones quickly?
Oh, absolutely. Studies have directly shown that practices involving rhythmic, controlled breathing can lower cortisol levels, the primary stress hormone.
Right.
And you can even observe it anecdotally. Think about how your breathing changes with emotions. Anger often brings rapid, forceful breaths, right? Creates tension.
Yeah, got more.
Sadness might bring slow, heavy sighs. Happiness, often light, easy, rhythmic breaths. They're intrinsically linked.
So could someone try this right now?
Yeah.
Feel the difference.
Definitely. Let's do a quick experiment for everyone listening. First, for about 30 seconds, try breathing really rapidly and forcefully, in and out through the mouth or nose, quite fast. Keep going.
Okay. Doing it. Starting to feel a little buzzy.
I had it.
Yeah, maybe a little anxious even.
Yeah.
That's mimicking a stress response. Okay, now stop. Just stop. And for the next 30 seconds, switch completely. Slow, deep breaths. In through the nose, fill the belly. Out through the mouth slowly. Really slow it down.
Okay. Much slower. Feeling that shift.
Feel that gradual return towards calm, Maybe your heart rate's slowing a bit.
Yeah, definitely calmer. That's actually quite pronounced.
See, it really hammers home the point.
Mm.
Your breath is like that secret remote control for your mood. You
Yeah.
can literally change the channel, change your state, just by changing how you breathe.
That's powerful stuff. Simple but powerful. Okay, so we've covered the science, the vagus nerve, but you mentioned ancient wisdom earlier. Let's dive deeper there.
Right, because the ancient yogic traditions took this understanding of breath much, much further. They didn't just talk about air, they talked about prana.
Prana, that translates roughly as life force or vital energy, doesn't it? Exactly. It's seen as the fundamental energy that animates all life, carried on the breath, but also more subtle than just oxygen. And there's a whole ancient science dedicated to understanding its mysteries.
Which is called?
Swarvijin, the science of swara, or breath flow. According to tradition, it was first systematically taught by Lord Shiva in a text called the Shiv Swarodaya Shastra. This goes way beyond just basic breathing mechanics.
Okay, Swarvijin. What does it involve?
To get into Swarvijin, you first need to understand the concept of nadis.
Nadis, I've heard that term. Energy channels.
Yes. Yogic texts describe some 72,000 nadis, subtle, non-physical channels throughout the body. Think of them like pathways for prana to flow.
So not literal nerves you can dissect.
No, they're considered part of the subtle or energy body. You can't see them physically, but experienced practitioners claim you can feel or perceive them through deep meditation and specific yogic techniques.
72,000. That's a lot. Or some more important than others.
Definitely. Out of all of them, 3 are considered absolutely primary: Ida, Pingala, and Sushumna.
Ida, Pingala, Sushumna.
These 3 are crucial. They run along the spine, essentially, and they govern the flow of prana and how our breath functions, particularly through the nostrils.
Can you give us an analogy? How should we think about these?
Okay, imagine your body is this incredibly complex machine, like a high-tech device with intricate circuits. Prana is the electricity that powers it.
Right.
The nadis, especially Ida and Pingala, are like the main electrical wires. Maybe think of them like the negative and positive wires. They need to be clear and balanced for the energy to flow correctly and power the whole system effectively. Sushumna, the central channel, is maybe like the grounding wire, or perhaps the main conduit when the system is perfectly balanced.
Okay, that helps visualize it. So these nadis relate to breath. How?
This leads us directly to the core concept of swar, which essentially refers to the dominant flow of breath in the nostrils.
Dominant flow? You mean we don't breathe equally through both nostrils all the time?
Almost never, actually. If you check right now, just place a finger under your nose and feel the airflow. You'll probably notice that one nostril feels more open, more dominant than the other.
Hang on. Yeah, okay, wow. You're right. My left feels more open right now.
See, that dominant nostril is your active swar at this moment. And according to Swarvijin, which nostril is dominant has profound implications.
Implications for what? Just breathing easier on one side?
Oh, much more than that. It's believed to directly influence your brain function, your nervous system balance, and even your suitability for different types of activities.
Seriously, just based on which nostril is dominant, how does that work?
Okay, let's break it down. Each nadi is linked to a nostril and specific functions. Pingala nadi corresponds to the right nostril. When your right nostril is dominant, that's called the sun swar or Surya swar.
Sun swar. Okay. What does that do?
Pingala is associated with positive energy, warmth, the masculine principle. It's said to activate the left hemisphere of your brain.
The logical, analytical side.
Exactly. Planning, reasoning, math, language processing, focusing on details. So right nostril breathing is supposedly better when you need to be analytical, solve problems, engage in physical activity, or digest food.
And the nervous system connection?
Pingala activates the sympathetic nervous system.
The fight or flight system? But isn't that bad?
Not necessarily bad, just activating. It puts you in an alert, action-ready mode. Increased heart rate, faster breathing potentially, higher blood pressure, ready for exertion. Good for sports tackling a big project.
Okay, makes sense. So what about the other side? Ida nadi.
Ida nadi corresponds to the left nostril. When your left nostril is dominant, that's the moon swar or Chandra swar.
Moon swar, so opposite characteristic.
Pretty much. Ida is associated with negative polarity, in an electrical sense, not a bad sense. Coolness, the feminine principle. It's said to activate the right hemisphere of the brain.
The creative, intuitive side.
That's the one. Emotions, intuition, creativity, visualization, music, art, seeing the bigger picture. So, left nostril breathing is considered better for calmer activities, mental work, creative pursuits, relaxation, drinking water, or going to sleep.
And the nervous system link for Ida.
Ida activates the parasympathetic nervous system.
Ah, The rest and digest system we talked about with the vagus nerve.
Exactly. It promotes calmness, conserves energy, slows the heart rate, lowers blood pressure, aids relaxation and recovery.
This is kind of mind-blowing. The idea that simply which nostril you're breathing through could be tuning your brain and body for different states or tasks.
It's a core tenet of Swarvigian. It suggests a very subtle, built-in mechanism for optimizing our state.
You mentioned a third nadi, sushumna.
Yes, Sushumna is the central channel. It's said to become active only when Ida and Pingala are perfectly balanced, when both nostrils flow exactly equally.
Does that happen often?
Not for extended periods, usually. It's considered a very special, often brief state, highly conducive to deep meditation, spiritual insight, and a feeling of profound equilibrium. Yogis often try to cultivate this balance, especially around transition times like dawn and dusk.
Okay, this leads to the million-dollar question then. If our dominant nostril shifts naturally, but also has these effects, can we intentionally change which swar is active?
Yes, that's one of the most practical applications of Swarvigian.
So if I need to do some focused analytical work, I could try to activate my right nostril, and if I want to brainstorm or relax, activate the left.
That's the principle. While the dominance naturally shifts, roughly every 60 to 90 minutes for most people, you can influence it consciously.
What are the methods?
Some are quite simple. The most common involves body posture. Lying down on your left side tends to open up the right nostril, activating Pingala.
Makes sense. Gravity and pressure, maybe.
And lying on your right side tends to open up the left nostril, activating Ida.
Okay, but what if you're, like, at your desk? You can't just lie down.
Right. In that situation, you can use pressure. Firmly press a fist, or even just your hand, into the armpit on the opposite side of the nostril you want to open.
So to open my right nostril, I press my right fist into my left armpit.
Exactly. Hold it there for a few minutes. It often helps shift the dominance. Ancient yogis even used a specific tool, like a T-shaped crutch called a yogdand, to rest under their armpit for this very purpose during meditation.
Fascinating. So we have this subtle control mechanism, and the idea is that keeping these nadis clear and balanced is important for overall health.
Absolutely crucial, according to yogic philosophy. Blockages or imbalances in the nadis are thought to disrupt the flow of prana, potentially leading to physical and mental health issues.
Which brings us to techniques for clearing them. You mentioned Nadi Shodhana earlier.
Yes, Nadi Shodhana pranayama, often called Anulom Vilam or alternate nostril breathing, is widely considered the best practice for purifying and balancing Ida and Pingala.
Okay, pranayama. Let's break that down. It involves more than just breathing, right?
Yes, pranayama typically involves 3 core actions. First is purak, that's the controlled inhalation, taking the breath in smoothly and consciously.
Purak. Got it.
Second is kumhak. This means breath retention, holding the breath. It can be antar kumhak, holding after the inhale, or bahir kumhak, holding after the exhale.
Kumhak, holding.
And third is rechak, the controlled exhalation, releasing the breath slowly and deliberately.
Purak, kumhak, rechak. Inhale, hold, exhale. So how do you put these together for Nadi Shodhana or Anulam Vilom?
All right, here's a basic guide. First, find a comfortable seated position. Sukhasana, easy pose, or even Padmasana, lotus pose if you can, but the key is a straight spine. Relax your body.
Okay, sitting straight.
Start by exhaling completely. Now, use your right thumb to gently close your right nostril. Inhale slowly and deeply through your left nostril. Fill the belly, feel it expand. That's purak.
Inhale left.
Now, briefly hold the breath at the top. That's short internal kumhak. Then use your right ring finger or index finger to close your left nostril, release the thumb from the right nostril, and exhale slowly and completely through the right nostril. That's recheck.
Exhale right.
Good. Now, inhale through the right nostril, keeping the left closed. Fill the belly again. Purak.
Inhale right.
Hold briefly at the top. Kumhak. Then close the right nostril with the thumb, release the finger from the left nostril, and exhale slowly through the left. Recheck.
Exhale left.
That completes one full cycle. You just continue this pattern, alternating nostrils for inhalation and exhalation. Left inhale, right exhale. Right inhale, left exhale.
What about timing? How long should you inhale, hold, exhale?
When you're starting, a simple rhythm is good. Maybe aim for a count of 4 for the inhale, purak. Hold for a count of 4, kumhak. Exhale for a count of 4, recheck. Some traditions add a hold after the exhale too, another 4 count, bahir kumhak. So 4, 4, 4, 4.
Okay, 4, 4, 4, 4 to start. How long should you practice?
Maybe aim for 10-15 minutes daily, ideally on an empty stomach, like in the morning. Consistency is key.
And can you progress? Change the timing.
Absolutely. As you get comfortable, you can extend the exhale and the hold. A very popular and effective ratio is 4-7-8. That's inhale for 4 seconds, hold for 7 seconds, and exhale slowly for 8 seconds. The longer exhale is particularly good for activating that parasympathetic relaxation response.
4-7-8. Got it. What are the main benefits people report from doing this regularly?
The benefits are quite profound, actually. One of the most common is eliminating brain fog.
That feeling of mental haziness, difficulty concentrating.
Exactly. That feeling where you can't think clearly, memory feels fuzzy, maybe you have mood swings or fatigue. Nadi Shodhana really helps clear that up by ensuring optimal oxygen flow to the brain and balancing the hemispheres. It sharpens focus, improves thinking ability, and boosts memory.
So better mental clarity.
Yeah.
What else?
It's incredibly effective at balancing the nervous system. By alternating nostrils, you're harmonizing the sympathetic Pingala and parasympathetic Ida systems. This leads to a significant reduction in stress, anxiety, and feelings of overwhelm. It fosters a deep sense of inner calm and equilibrium.
Balances the nervous system, balances the sores we talked about.
Precisely. It helps ensure prana flows freely and appropriately through both Ida and Pingala, bringing the whole system into balance. You can really think of it as a kind of natural brain detox. It clears out the mental clutter, sharpens your thinking, and can genuinely boost your productivity and overall well-being.
Wow. So tying this all together then as we wrap up this deep dive, it's incredibly clear that breath is so much more than just, automatic respiration.
So much more. It really is the foundation, the root of our existence in many ways. That concept of prana breath as our fundamental life force feels very resonant after exploring all this.
It's wild to think this thing we do constantly, mostly unconsciously, holds such immense power.
And what's truly remarkable, I think, is how it serves as that bridge. Breath connects our physical body, our mental state, our emotions, and for many traditions, our very soul or spirit. It's the thread weaving them all together.
Yeah.
Which really raises an important question for everyone listening, doesn't it? What might actually change in your life if you started to truly understand, to feel, and maybe even to consciously guide your breath each day?
That's a powerful thought to leave people with.
Mm-hmm.
Controlling your breath.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it really is the first step towards self-control, towards managing your state, your energy, your life.
It certainly offers a compelling pathway.
A simple action, potentially transforming everything.
Yeah.
Something to definitely explore further.